This is my little piggy. Me and my boyfriend have this weird thing where we're piggies, and then my brother bought me this for Christmas. So it's our little baby. Hey guys, so in today's video I want to talk about a phenomena, I guess it's called, that is very prominent in like everyone's life. It's something that is like pretty much a part of being human, hardwired into us, and that is what is called the negativity bias. I hope I'm able to cover everything that I have in my mind right now, because I have a lot to say about this topic. There is, I don't know, it's an interesting topic, and it's kind of profound when you think of it, because I feel like it explains a lot of humanness or human behavior. So yeah, I have some notes, so if I'm ever looking at the computer, that's because I have some notes, because I don't want to forget to say something that I want to get across. So I'm just gonna start with the definition of what the negativity bias is. I am taking this from Wikipedia. I usually don't like to use Wikipedia as a source, but I'm really just taking the definition. If I do use any other information from other sources, I will list it below, obviously, or like tell you guys, but yeah, for now it's only the definition from Wikipedia, I guess you say. I think I said it with a V. The Norwegian in me is coming out. So, the negativity bias is the notion that even when of equal intensity, things of a more negative nature have a greater effect on one's psychological state and processes than neutral or positive things. So, basically, what this is that even when there's an equal amount of positive and negative things happening, for example, in your day, and with equal intensity, you are more likely to focus on and remember the negative things that happen. And I think we all kind of know that this is true just from our everyday experiences. For example, we take more like negative comments about ourselves seriously rather than, you know, when people give us compliments, a lot of people just brush them off and don't take them seriously, as if people are like kidding and they don't actually mean it, or just saying it to be nice kind of a thing. And that's just a simple example. And another example I think we all have a bias of using and telling ourselves is if we're having a presentation, for example, or a test or anything like that, our first go-to thought is, what if I fail? Like, what if I fuck up? Or like, what if it goes to shit? Like, we think that a lot when we going into like any kind of circumstance, really, especially something that's kind of unknown to us, so it's perceived as something like negative or whatever. So yeah, some of the implications of this is that we actually, like, I remember learning in, I think it was my social psychology class, we actually pay more attention to negative words and negative pictures. Like, they've done experiments on this. We spend more time looking at, I don't have a particular experiments in my head, right? Like, maybe I could see if I find them. I just know there's been experiments on our attention paid to negative pictures, negative words, and we actually have more words for negative emotions than we do for positive emotions. So you could see this concept or phenomena prevail in like everything in life, everything in human life anyways, and probably in animal lives. It's like an animalistic thing pretty much, which we'll get to soon. Like, why do we have this hardwired into us? One of the other things I've noticed, another implication, another effect of this, is that we focus more on how the world is bad and like more on how we've not progressed than celebrating how we have progressed. That's not to say that we shouldn't, you know, strive to fix problems in the world. Obviously there's a lot of negative things in the world, but did you know that the world is actually less violent now than it used to be in the past? A lot of people might not know that. I learned that in my English class in high school. I think it was like Steven Pinker or something that looked into that, and yeah. So, something interesting with this is that because we pay more attention to negative things, that is what we like remember more. That just says so much about, like, that means that so many of our memories are biased towards being negative. Even like the positive ones, if something negative happened in that day, it's gonna be skewed towards something negative. And like, if all of our memories are biased by this negativity bias, that means that our whole lives or our whole like idea of the world is skewed into a negative light, and it's just kind of crazy. Like, when you think of it in a big picture like that, like, we're focusing on negative things all the time. And yeah, I'll get to like something later, and that is like, what if we had opposite bias? Anyways, I want to get into why we have this bias. The reason why we have this bias basically is like a biological evolutionary basis. So it makes sense when you think of it, because the way I look at it anyways is that positive things, at least in the past, thinking about them weren't really useful, in the sense that usually if something's positive, it's not something that you have to deal with or like figure out. Whereas negative things, for example, a bear running after you, is something you better fucking focus on. That's an extreme example, I guess, but you better focus on that because you want to figure out how to escape the bear. You need to figure out how to overcome this negative thing. And you can see this also when we're like judging people or like trying to figure out someone's character. If someone does something like fucked up, something negative, obviously like that's the basis we're going to judge them on, because who would do something that negative, or who would do something like that to someone? Because the positive attributes of them probably isn't gonna outweigh something really negative about them. So yeah, because of this, we basically spend more time thinking about negative things in the hopes that we'll find a solution to it. The problem about that though now is that we live in a society where a lot of the things, negative things that happen or we think about can't be solved really like that quickly as maybe in the past. Like maybe in the past it was like, oh, I don't have a tool like this, and then you went out and found a stone, or like you found stuff, and it was probably more simple to figure certain things out in the past, like in our evolutionary past. But now we have like quite complex things that we need to figure out, but sometimes it's not productive thinking about those negative things. Sometimes we start dwelling in it, I think, a lot. And my personal like view of this is that I think a lot of the foundation of like anxiety and like depression and things is this bias that we have towards thinking of negative things in the hopes that we'll figure it out. That's like, I think, one of the reasons. Obviously there's chemical imbalances. People are born with like a chemical imbalance and stuff like that, but this doesn't help basically. So then the question becomes, what do we do about this? And I personally think that we can completely rid us of this bias because it's so hardwired into us. But what we can do is try to be more conscious of it. And it's so, it's so cheesy. Like, try to be more in the moment and conscious and all that stuff. Like, like, it's so cheesy. But there's a reason why things are cliches, guys. So one of the things that you could do is, and I really need to work on this because I tend to get kind of anxious about stuff. And that is to realize the difference between productive negative thoughts, like, like kind of like in the evolutionary past when you need to make a tool and you were like, oh, I'm just gonna go out and get stuff to make a tool. So you focus on that negative thing, don't have a tool, and so you go out and you find the stuff to make a tool. Differentiate between when your negative thoughts are not productive and when they're productive, because we do need to focus to an extent on negative things. If not, we're not gonna get things done. Just like the thing with there being a lot of problems in the world, obviously we need to focus on that because we need to progress and get better, but realize when it becomes too much and not productive. Like, people that just like complain and never do anything about what they're complaining about. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Like, realize when it's becoming repetitive and you're dwelling in these negative thoughts, and realize when it's productive. Hey guys, so I'm just editing the video right now, and I just wanted to quickly put this in somewhere in the video that I forgot to mention. One thing to do is a way to like evaluate whether it's productive is whether you're marrying the thought with an action or like a plan, and you actually plan on following through with that. For example, I can get anxious a lot about a lot of adulting that I have to do, and I think about it and think about it and think about it and never do anything about it. That's where that you're dwelling in it rather than actually trying to solve it. So I actually have this book where I'd write down things that were on my mind, like would make me anxious or feel negative or whatever, and I'd write whether or not it is productive to even think about this right now, and if it wasn't, I would just not think about it, or like I'd write it down and then I'd try to forget about it. And that's why I also I use lists and stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly say that and then get back to the video. Yeah, so I'm not telling you to avoid having negative thoughts. We need negative thoughts. We're hardwired to have them for a reason, right? It's not like nature was just like, oh, I'm gonna give you this thing for no reason. There's usually a reason for it, and we can utilize it. It's just to realize that it's the environment that we're in now isn't as beneficial with regards to that biological mechanism, which is other biological mechanisms aren't as useful now as they were in the past because we live in a completely different society, and we haven't been living in these societies for a very long time. So yeah, I guess just be honest with yourself when you're having negative thoughts. Like, is this just not productive? Like, there's productive negative thoughts basically is what you need to have. That's even a thing. That sounds counterintuitive, but also, when you tell yourself, what if I fail? Like, we all have a tendency to like I said earlier, if we're going to have a test or a presentation, we always think, what if I fail? Or like, what if I fuck up? Rather than what if I succeed, which is something that is a possibility, right? So try rewording. I'm sorry if you guys can hear that. I get distracted so easily. Anyways, I'm almost done, so I'm just gonna finish even though there's people talking in the other room because my boyfriend just got home. But yeah, so basically, you know, start asking yourself, what if I succeed? I remember I was trying to do that last spring when I was, like, you know, during exams. And yeah, because, you know, what if you do succeed? And it kind of reframes your thinking when you, like, consciously say that to yourself. Like, what if I succeed? Or what if I don't fuck up? What if I do amazing? Because you never know. Like, what if you do? And it just gets you in the mindset of doing that rather than in the mindset of failing. And then I said earlier, food for thought, just something I'd like you to think of because it's kind of interesting. Imagine a world where we had the opposite bias. Like, imagine how different the world would be. We'd probably even, like, see things differently almost, like, because we see the world through this negative lens, and it's just like, it boggles my mind that that's like how we see the world. So yeah, just think of that. What if, like, imagine the world, like, if humans had a positivity bias. Like, it would be so different. I feel like people would, you know, people would be happier, people would, or maybe it wouldn't be good actually. Maybe it would turn to shit. It's just an interesting thing to think about, like, you know, because maybe we wouldn't get things done because we didn't have a negativity bias. Anyways, I'm gonna go. I hope this video made sense, and I'm sorry that it's kind of long, but I had a lot to say and I think it's an important topic. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video and have a nice day.